Okay, Daphne, ladies,
Yep.
all ready?
Yep.
Okay, I will zoom you in and then press the start.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Last, last Milo.
Never mind. Like sembang can minum also like that. Like Ellen DeGeneres. Alright. Hello, hello. Okay. We are gonna go live soon. And we're live streaming on all 4 platforms on Daphne Iking too. So Dom, as soon as I see online, then I start, because now I see offline.
Yeah, not online yet.
Okay, on.
I
Onsness.
see how to do host party.
Comel. Oh yeah, should host party never mind.
How to host? How to one do
I
it?
think I have to share. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our session. My name is Daphne Iking. Welcome to our virtual hashtag Plan the Next Gen series on navigating COVID-19 second wave. What are we really doing to protect our children dialogue? Now, this session draws close to my heart today because I am a mother of 4, including a 3-month-old baby, Elin, and we all know that little babies are vulnerable to the virus, right? So, before I begin, let's just have a quick recap on the state of COVID-19 here in Malaysia. The last time, around this time last month, we started to show signs that we were on track to fight the virus when reported cases were going down to single digits for a few days. However, things have changed drastically since then when we had a report of COVID-19 cases here in Malaysia just came back at an alarming rate. In fact, I think the last time I checked, we've got a slight dip compared to yesterday. Just compared to yesterday, it is 375, but I think we were recording 691 last Friday. But yes, 5 deaths. New deaths as last reported. So naturally, when we hear of the number of cases rising, of course there's going to be a knee-jerk reaction to it. And as parents, as a mother, understandably so. So when the PM delivered his speech recently, I think that was on Friday, my husband automatically said, okay, that's it, guys. We are self-inflicting a CMCO to this household. No one's going out. And I'm like, dude, like, chill, relax first lah. These cases are only in Sabah and Kedah, but now it's slowly, you've been getting all these WhatsApp chats. It's going into malls that are just too close to home. And I don't know if I'm just the only one, but I'm sure we all are searching for the best practices to keep our families safe. So joining me today, we have an amazing lineup of moms from various fields. And I would like to introduce the panelists for this session, starting with, of course, a friend of mine, Miss Wong Chui Ling. She's a celebrity entrepreneur, speaker, and host, and a mom to a pair of beautiful twin boys. Hi, Chui Ling. How are you?
Hi, Daphne. Hi, everybody. I'm good. Wow, I didn't realize you have 4 now.
4 liao. I mean, the last time I saw you, you just delivered, and then after that, I beranak 2 more. I mean, like, time flies when you're having fun, and especially 2020 with the craziness. All right, we also have Dr. Ng Yiki, who's a pediatrician at Baby and Beyond Clinic. She is also a mother of 2. Hi, doctor. How are things?
Hi everyone, so glad to be here with you. Yes, things are okay. The 2 kids are keeping me really busy as usual.
We've got lots of questions from you. In fact, I've got my WhatsApp just flooding with questions, but we're going to go into that in just a bit. And last but not least, we have the person who has initiated this whole series. And I really want to thank you, Daisy Ng, who's the founder and Chief Education Officer of Trinity Kids Malaysia, the CEO. I like that, Chief Education Officer. She is a mother of 3 extraordinary kids as well as a passionate educator. Daisy, thank you. Thank you for having us and for bringing up this really pertinent topic. I'm sure all of you are dying to say what you have to say. I think first and foremost, let's just get down to it right away. When the news just was officially reported by the Prime Minister himself, by the DG himself, saying that there was a rise of COVID-19, what was the first thing in your head, Chuling?
Well, of course, I wear it a lot, partly because of our work nature, because we need to go out to see a lot of people, and
Yeah.
some are actually very hard to avoid. And secondly, is the family members, because we have
Yeah.
kids at home, we have elderly at home. Yeah, that's what I worry the most. Whatever you do outside, if you bring it home, okay. And my husband is a little is super super clean, super cautious, and then so we have to balance a lot, even within the family. And like you said, when you read about the news, the news about Sabah or Kedah, you feel very far away, but it's getting closer and closer around our area. Then people will start talking, hey, should we send our kids to school and all that? And a lot of this kind of conversation or WhatsApp messages going around. And then now I need to think of a way to learn how to coexist with the current situation. You cannot avoid everything 100% because life still goes on, but you still have to take precautions. So what is the right balance? Your definition and my definition, or my husband's definition, are different. So this is what we are trying to work on now. Yeah.
We're looking for that middle ground, right? Moderation is the key. Doctor?
Yeah, so I mean, very early on in this pandemic, among the medical fraternity, we kind of know that this is to stick. It's not going to be one of those one-off 2-3 months and then that's it. We're looking at least 1-2 years. And so, if you ask me, the rise in the numbers didn't take me by surprise. And it's like how Trailing says, how to coexist, how to not have a heart attack every time the numbers go up, and little tweaks need to be made in our livelihoods, but not to the point where you cocoon everybody, and neither do you go all the way out without taking any measures.
Yeah.
So that's how we're navigating as a family as well.
And Daisy, you yourself as a mother, as well as a mother to a lot of children, because you're an educator yourself, that must be crazy. It's not just the kids you have to handle, but parents
we're just
too.
talking about the eye bags I have this year from all the sleepless nights. So thank you everyone for joining us today. So I'm Daisy, and I'm also we're operator of Trinity Kids. We have a few hundred children with us and a close-knit community. And we have been doing lots of awareness and educational programs regarding the virus, because we feel that, personally, I feel that it's a responsibility that, if I'm operating a service, that I must be responsible for the lives and the safety of all the children. And then since COVID is a virus that disrupts our community through and breaking up the social habits, then it takes a community to overcome it together. And we can't do it alone. So we need everybody. So we like to host events or educational events so that people always have up to breast practical information and advice so that we know how to move forward. Fear is an emotion that cripples actions. We don't want fear to get the better of us, because whenever the number rise and trust drop and we don't trust each other, then we cannot work together. So we just want to have this kind of awareness program so that we can work on this together.
All right, you've hit certain points there, which we're going to be talking in just a bit, because I've got friends asking some questions. Now, we all know that the 3 C's to avoid is crowded places, close contact with others in public, as well as confined spaces. But we've been doing very well. In fact, we had MCO, CMCO, and then RMCO. And then I remember the first time me going out, I was still a bit hesitant because it was always a one person must go out. And admittedly, I was just out of my confinement. So a bit like kaku like that. And then suddenly everyone on Instagram holiday tak pakai mask. Everyone is not adhering to the SOPs. Cuti Malaysia. I mean, I understand. We've been confined for so long and it's just sudden, right? But, at the same time, we still have to adhere to SOPs. Chuling, you and I are both in the same industry, in this similar. When you go out and go for events, MC events, go and do your training, how do you deal with people who don't adhere to SOPs? For instance, they want to come with you and then they don't do that salam. They want to fist bump. I don't even know if a fist bump is allowed. They want to come and hug you like yours truly over here. What do you do? How do you deal with that?
I think this the entire MCO, wearing mask, it's a very good training for your eyes. Okay, you have to send out message that you don't come close to me. The first thing is you have to have eye contact. Say, So that indicates that I acknowledge, I'm happy to see you again, but because of this, So sometimes you don't need to say much. But of course, in 90%, they were like, oh, okay, understand, social distance.
Yeah.
But still, there are 10%, they will be like, don't worry lah, 你冇咁好彩, you won't be that lucky, that kind of thing. So I would use this reverse psychology. Oh, no, it's not about you, it's about me. Lately, I've been feeling, like a little bit sore throat lah, like a runny nose.
So you
and all
don't
that.
offend the person. You're very smart.
I am not sure. So it's not about you, it's about me. I'm so sorry. So that can help you to, handle this 10%. Well, for training, because sometimes, we have the maximum capacity. For example, for my training center, maximum is 25 packs. We have to follow the SOP. And then it's very hard for me to speak from 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. wearing a mask. I think the mask will become very stinky, smelly, right? So instead, I will request the participants, you guys wear masks. I'm going to talk without a mask, but on the stage. So you and I have the distance, so it's much easier. Whereas business meeting, I think that's we have to make an effort to do it as much as we can online. But of course, there are cases.
How about clients who insist on seeing you? How?
Yeah, lately I have, that's a very important meeting presentation to the government officials, and we brought up, as a representative of postnatal care industry, I was the one who brought this issue up a couple of months ago, and finally it's my turn to present my paper. But we have to go to PM office. I'm like, oh, okay, that's a bit sensitive, right? And so we spoke to them, we negotiated with them. We say, you have to understand, we have representatives from confinement centers who will be going back to take care of newborns, a lot of newborns, after the meeting. So what if they are contracted or under the list or whatever, it's it doesn't worth the risk. So what we need to do is to explain to them and learn how and when to say no. They understand, so eventually they postpone the meeting and we're like, whoa, thank you very much.
I think at the end of the day, you just have to remind each other and just to educate and create the awareness that, dude, this is not just my mind thing, But it's different. For us adults, it's easier to talk this out with another adult. What about us as moms to our children? I've got a 4-year-old and he's not always so diligent about using his mask. He wants to use it up to here, and I'm like, you have to put it up to here because that's the whole point, you're wearing a mask. Doctor, how would you advise moms on daily hygiene practices recommended for their children at different stages of motherhood? Because I've got a newborn, and I know for a fact that newborns or little infants, they don't have to wear a mask. Perhaps you can share your thoughts on this.
Yeah, definitely, if even for adults in our livelihoods, we need to make those certain tweaks, right? For trailing, it is impossible to wear masks from 9 to 5 onwards, like you say. And so what more for children? And I think maybe the first thing we need to do is just be clear about the facts first. Then that will help us to have wisdom on how to deal with our children. Now, the first thing is we need to remember that, how it's spread. It's spread by droplets. And that is by, if you're close contact, somebody coughs at you, sneezes at you, sniffs and then touches your face, that sort of thing. Or and it's by close contact, and you might also ask, so what if inanimate objects? If my kid touches something, will he or she get infected with the virus? Now, so far, even though theoretically it shows that the virus can live on inanimate objects for 24 hours, but there hasn't been any reporting of a direct causality from it. Now, and a lot of information is coming. Even this morning, there was so many informations on my phone coming in, and every day is like an information overload. But I just want to say, although theoretically is right, but it was said that, in order for somebody to, to have that amount of viral load on a desk, say, and then the child comes and touches it, it has to be there for that amount of time, touch it, and then immediately put in that string of events. It has to be so meticulously tight that, it's the risk of it is low. So going back to your question, so knowing that how it spread, and we know that for now things may change, but for now the transmissibility or the risk of transmission between kids is low, much lower, at least half times lower than adults. And and if they do get it, it's usually very mild. I know we have seen mortality that was very sad, but if you look at the big picture, it's still mild compared to the elderly and the older people. And so, when we think about it, the first thing I just want to tell moms and dads is, let's not be too obsessive about it. Too obsessive to the point that we scold our kids if they touch their eyes. We scold our kids when they rub their nose, if they don't wear their mask,
Yeah.
So, and I think if we go down the scale, if it's 10 years and above, we're able to talk with them really nicely, and they'll be able to understand us to a certain extent. Then it's easier for them to follow these guidelines to a better extent. And if we're talking about kids from 5 till 10, we can teach them a little bit more, to be a bit more mindful, and to teach them how to wash their hands. I think of all things that we can teach them the best is how to wash their hands, and and to remind them when they go outside, it's like, don't simply touch your face and everything, even that it's not foolproof, but we try that. For the younger age group, the toddlers, the ones that you and I have, the one that, thanks, son, you tell them one thing, the next minute they don't remember. You ask them to wear the mask. It's like, yeah. And I've given up buying like those one-off masks for children, because I think it's a complete waste of my money when it comes to my toddler. Right? He takes it off, he wears it for 3 seconds, and then he takes it off and he throws it on the ground. Throw it on the ground already, how to use? So I have resorted to buying cloth masks, and
that's more eco-friendly too.
Yeah, exactly. And we start off well, but if he brings it down, say, "Mommy, can I just wear it down here? I cannot breathe." I leave it be. But I teach him how to wash his hands, how to go into the bathroom and come out the bathroom and wash his hands before eating, after eating, wash his hands. Simple things that we speak to their level of understanding,
their comprehension.
Exactly. And then even for the even younger ones, the babies, what to do? The whole onus of cleanliness and personal hygiene is on us adults, law. So, we clean our hands before we go and touch the babies. We clean our hands before we prepare their food. If we are hearing of all these sporadic cases or cluster cases around, maybe it's best for a period of time not to bring them out. And like you say, Daphne, there's a certain age group that do not need to wear the mask. And it's actually not generalized across the board. WHO says 5 and below does not need to wear. Okay. Understandably, because 3 to 5, they probably won't wear it anyway, right? But AAP, the American Academy of Physicians, say 2 and below, right? Because it impedes their breathing. So I do go with that. So between 2 to 5, that iffy age group, just do what we can. Yeah.
So it still boils down to what the parents has to do.
The kid always say, where are the viruses, mommy? I cannot see it. Let's go out. I cannot see it.
Yeah, that's a toughie, right? I've actually got a question from one of my friends, actually, and I'll get into that. It's great that you brought that up, Chuling. Daisy, we've got the kids, and for you not only have to deal with your own children and the children in your education centers, but also the parents.
Children.
The parents are the ones that will give you more headache. I know this for a fact because I'm in a group chat. I think all of us are in a group chat with parents in it, and everyone's going, I don't want to send my kids to school and then cannot because I don't have any, I don't have a helper at home, I don't have a nanny. So, Daisy,
I have a few things to say from there, and I've always, as my parents always know me, I always try to keep it very neutral, very open. So it's open communication. There's a few interesting things that Iki said that I just want to touch on. So she says that the onus is on the adults. The onus is really on the adults, because so far, it's been a few months, and research has shown that the adults are most likely to be the transmitter rather than the children. So among children, the transmission rate is not as proven as the adults. So the onus is really on us adults to provide the right protection for our children. So you see, on mask wearing, right? Siri just came on for me, so excuse me for that. So on mask wearing, in I know WHO didn't really come on hard on children wearing masks, but let's bring up Taiwan as example. So
Okay.
when the virus set off very very early, Taiwan never did a shutdown or MCO or lockdown. But what they decided to do is to mandate mask wearing for all their school children and for people to go outside. And you know, Taiwanese people, they're very polite, they're very considerate, so they are very happy to follow these rules. And in Hong Kong as well, they have a mask wearing culture to begin with, if
Yep.
they're unwell, etc. So these countries so far have navigated the COVID really, really well. If you think of mask wearing, it's really about protecting yourself and managing your exposure, because Dr. Iki says that this is a virus that spread through contact, through droplets. So she said just now, it takes a very special kind of circumstances where someone left a dollop of infectious fluids here for you to like touch and then put it back
And
on
then
yourself to transmit and get infected.
Yep.
But what if it is an environment whereby there's so high volume and traffic of people, whereby you cannot manage the exposure that is on your surfaces, so you can't really know who or what have been there. So that is a different kind of scenario that we're talking about. That's why it's hard for people to realize in real life how does the application works.
Betul.
So back to in a very simple context from where I'm operating. So the need to understand how this works and how to break the transmission is how we are obsessed, or I'm obsessed with looking at my iPad, so I'm obsessed about doing it right so that we have the right environment for our families. Now, our MOH has provided really, really good guidelines on how to protect our children in a school environment. So if we look back at whether we are really doing that now, that could be an indication why the cases are rising again, because it wasn't MCO itself that killed the virus. It's what we collectively do during MCO that brought down the viruses. So in the school environment context, what we did is that we really make sure we segregate the children, limit the exposure. In the school environment, whether with the cleaning, the surface cleaning, or the people going in doing a body sanitization, and really understanding who is coming in and who is in your group on a fixed day-to-day basis. This way we are containing the exposure, and parents know this is the exposure I'm getting every day. So in this kind of very contained or controlled environment, so in experiment you call it a controlled environment, you know what you're getting. You know, what's really scary is the part whereby you don't know what you're getting in an uncontrolled environment. Now, some people, it's easy to say, invisible part, I'm just going out for a while. Short while only, I won't be so lucky. And then you go to a place whereby you're taking out your mask, your children are taking out your mask, and there are a lot of people around you that you don't know who they are, what they have been doing. And then everyone is only out for themselves, that I'm out there for a short while for myself and not really considering the next person. Now, this is a very different kind of culture from, say, Taiwanese culture, that people go out of their way to open the door for you, to make sure you get to one place correctly. The kind of culture is slightly different. So we kind of need to bring that culture in of what we are looking out for each other, not just ourselves, so that we can make sure that our public environment is a safe environment. But apart from that, until that happens, what we as parents must start to differentiate now is like the kind of exposure that we're giving our children, and then managing that. So I think that for our context, in our context in the school environment, whatever environmental factor where we can do, we'll do. So when we have Zoom sessions with all our parents to shape together and put together our SOP, I have certain kind of wish lists, like dream machines that I want, dream items that I want. And then it's parents who are smarter than me or with more resources than me that help design our spray booth, our sanitizing solutions, like we're using smart code. And then we have a temperature scan machine that has AI recognition. So little things like that allow contactless entry and very seamless thing to help us contain, make sure we know our exposure through community
I like that, because you're working hand in hand with it's basically a PTA, Parent Teacher Association, where you're working for the best solutions for everyone.
And we don't have a COVID police in Malaysia, but my best COVID police are my parents. Sometimes I get pictures. So who and who is not wearing a mask? You better go and tell him. And I say, oh, you should tell him. And sometimes I get parents telling me, who and who skipped the sanitizing booth, the queue? Then you must ask him to go and spray again.
It's so interesting you're saying this.
It's very good.
Because I just got a letter, like a warning letter from my school, my kids' school punya board of directors, and they're saying we do not condone parents taking pictures. And I'm like, why the hell would these people why would parents take pictures? So there are some parents who are skodenging, got time to do all that, can go skodeng, see who's not doing SOP, and then send to each other, group chat, everything. So now we're moving on to part 2, responding to positive cases. In this next part, we're going to discuss what should we do after we learn of a person we know or who have come in contact with a COVID-19 diagnosis. We need to learn how to manage the situation. And it's so easy for us in this zaman fake news to spread misinformation over the phone or just spreading it over our WhatsApp, etc., etc. And this caused unnecessary panic. Like my husband, he was like, oh, I heard 1,000 people already kena. I'm like, you wait first, the PM official announcement belum kena. See, 691.
Oh yeah, that was one day the rumor in the afternoon.
800 kan? It was 800, 1,000.
1,000.
Actually, it was 800, but my husband always likes to tambah sikit, so become 1,000. So we're going to start off with Chuling. Chuling, what advice do you have to parents out there tuning in today in terms of, because you're a social media influencer also, about sharing and posting and, making sure that at the end of the day, these COVID-19 patients, they didn't ask for it. So they also want their privacy, but at the same time, we want to be notified also if someone in our apartment is also having that and you want to be jaga-jaga. But, where do we draw the line? In terms of a social media influencer, what have you got to say about this?
Well, actually, it happened to me because about 10 days ago, I went to a place and for a function. And then 3 days ago, I read from news that, one staff very close to the place that I went, contracted. So I was having a meeting with my client, right? And then everybody saw my face turn green. So I panicked. I did panic for a while. So after that, number one, I got to verify whether that piece of article is genuine. Okay. So I verified, yes, it is genuine. So it was on the staff paper. So that's genuine enough, right? And after that, I need to call a few friends to ask who is that fellow. I mean, I don't demand, demand them to disclose the name or whoever, but was he or her or she attending our function on that day? So after that, you clear all the the
doubts, like you potong
the clouds or whatever, and then you see a clearer picture. Hey, Wang Chuling, you what are you doing? You're scared. You're scaring yourself and everybody. But true enough, I actually monitor myself. Yeah,
okay.
Whoever have been in contact with me, so there's nothing much we can do, right? Yeah, but I stay in my room in the office, and for those I haven't seen, I asked them, you don't see me, and they told me the same thing. We don't want to see you until 14 days later.
At least for 2 weeks.
Yeah, there were a lot of people saying, okay, I experienced two extreme opinions. One group is, you won't be so lucky lah. The other one is, why don't you go for a test, just for the peace of mind. Yeah, so I did think about it, but after that, it's been almost 2 weeks. So and I called my friends, everybody looks okay. So and I wasn't on the list, so I assumed okay. But what I want to try what I'm trying to say is, if you suspect yourself, having a chance of in contact with the unknown person, there are something that you can do. Yeah. Number one is don't panic first. Go and find out more. Yeah. So if luckily enough that you cannot, I think I will be announcing it on my social media.
Oh, there you go. You'll be responsible enough to announce it.
You'll be responsible to the.
Don't hide lah.
A very popular way to announce it recently.
And also, there
Trump
are
does it.
Hong
Okay,
Kong,
that's not to Trump.
One of the reasons that they don't want to disclose certain patients even after they recover, they were being discriminated.
Yes.
Yeah,
You're right.
So,
I think I was saying this over our just before we went live. How people assume that just because I'm Sabahan, automatically I have COVID-19. Hey, you Sabah, you're Sabahan. I'm like, I didn't go back. I was supposed to go back, but I didn't. But doctor, what if a child is unwell or has come into contact with a COVID-19 patient? What should the parent do then, and when should they seek medical attention? Because now we're talking about the child. Like Chuling sort of knows because she's an adult and she can make her own informed decision. But what about if it's a parent with a child who she knows or doesn't know is, in contact?
Yeah. I think it's two different things altogether. A child who is unwell and a child who has been in contact. known to be in contact with somebody who has been proven or suspected to have COVID-19. Because our children are going back to school, we have gone out, we have beyond the MCO period, we have already exposed our child to all the other different thousands of viruses, not just COVID, And so just because a child has a fever and a bit of flu-like symptoms, it doesn't mean the child has COVID. So if I would say to parents, if you are well and you know what has been happening in the past 14 days, it is a fairly controlled environment that your child has been in, and nobody else is unwell, and you have not been traveling, you know that your risk stratification is low, and your child is not well, do the normal. Go and see your pediatrician and get your child checked and be managed appropriately. Then the second scenario is when you actually know that your child or you have been exposed to a person who has COVID. Now, by that time, most probably, you would have been contacted by the authorities and to let you know what you need to do. But if you have not, then you have to think in a certain way. If your child is a direct contact, it means first generation, right? For example, if I had it, but if I had it, and my child is my first generation contact, then obviously my child is required to be checked. The first thing, if nobody has contacted me yet, which is kind of odd, then I would actually call CPRC, right? The Crisis Preparedness Response Center. There's somebody there 24 hours a day to pick up your phone, hopefully.
Positive, yes, they will.
Yes, they will. And to advise you appropriately what are your next steps, right? So that is if it's your first and second degree contact. Now, if it's beyond that, if it's down the line, it's somebody punya somebody, and you were like, ayo, my child played with that child who's also not direct contact. 2
like
weeks
Chui Ling's
ago,
case
3 weeks ago, then I would take Chui Ling's advice. Number one, don't panic lah. Okay, don't panic. And number two, don't panic. Really, if you panic, right, your mind is not in the right place. You'll not know what to do. So you need to take a step back and think, okay, what is my risk? And if you don't know how to calculate or to measure up that risk, please call the CPRC or call your doctor and to ask, what should I do next? If your child is very well, and you're just afraid of further exposure, I think the responsible thing to do is to manage further exposure. If you need to inform the people that needs to be informed, you don't need to inform the whole world kind of thing. I mean, for normal people like us who don't have like big social media, but so inform the people that needs to be informed, which is our close family members,
right,
and friends who we have been in contact with, say in the last 14 days, and then just keep home, manage our exposure and practice clean hygiene from then on.
I think that's the most important thing, right? Daisy, what about you? Like, what would your advice be for organizations like yourself to improve case management once they have a detected positive case, especially if it involves children? I mean, are there additional measures that you need to consider? What do you think?
Well, now every organization must have a COVID response team. So if you don't have one already, then you have a COVID response team. In fact, you start a COVID response team in your household as well, such that you must be able to understand the risk or calculating the degree of degree of contact. So then in the COVID response team, right, then you will have like the understanding. This team of people must have a very thorough understanding of how it spreads, where are the exposure, how to manage the exposure, and what are the SOP modifications that need to take place. Because in day-to-day life, we tend to forget things like that, and we need to have that COVID police to go around reminding people, because it's their job to have this function to keep remembering. Now, when there is sometimes I think we have people will tell me that they think it won't happen, so they don't want to think about it. If you don't think about it, it won't happen. It's law of attraction. No, I say it doesn't work this way. Please plan for it, so that if you plan for it, then you won't happen to you, because the moment it happens, you know how to contain it, restore the pace back to safety, and you are bringing safety to everyone around you. So you must have, like, every company or every organization will have risks that are more pertinent to them. So you must have those imagined scenario already, and then you have an action that you will have for the scenario situation. Now, so then when the scenario happens, then the very, very first thing you have to do is not to go onto social media and tweet about it, but probably you want to contact people that you really have direct exposure to. Obviously, that's from the patient perspective. But for an organization, suppose you have one that is confirmed or a first degree, that means you know that is within the first degree with someone who is high risk. MOH stipulate that the first degree person must be tested for COVID right away. Then second degree and onwards do not need to be tested, and nothing really changing in their lifestyle. But first degree should stay at home until the result is out, or preferably stay at home for the whole incubation period if need be. So knowing things like that, right, and then you just have to restore. Now, I know what training meant by people wanting to know who is it? Who is it? So I just want to know who is it. Because fear is an emotion. If fear is unknown to you, and it's very big emotion. So when we want to know who is it, where is it, so it's really about putting a face. Then we put a face to that fear, then it's contained there. The virus is him, and then we know who is it, we know where it is, we are fine, we are safe. It's just a way for us, it's a coping mechanism. But unfortunately, factually, you see, it's everywhere now. If you look at the number of cases, that we're having, so many cases every day. And these are new cases every day. So these people are human beings that go around, they went out eating, they go gymming, they go working, they take the bus, they take the train, they take Grab, everything. Nothing to them. It's just saying that they're everywhere. Where are they? Where could they be? They're already everywhere. But yet when we report the number of cases, we're reporting where they are staying. And people think that knowing where they are staying is enough. It's everywhere. So if they are everywhere, that means the exposure is everywhere. That means we are all already exposed to it in our environment. Now, a healthy person is not someone who doesn't fall sick. Okay, a healthy person is someone who doesn't fall sick as easily. So this is why we have to boost our immune system to be more resistant. We are probably exposed. We're exposed already, so we wear a mask to minimize our exposure. We wash hands and sanitize our hands often, so that whatever that we are exposed to, we are not bringing into our body. So these are the basic things that we can do to try to protect ourselves. But the COVID response team and the COVID response plan, I think, is really, really pertinent to every single organization. So in our case, because we have a fire exit plan, we have every single kind of plan for everything, because I am that kiasu person I am.
And that's good.
We're responsible for the life of many people. So many of our parents, when we had a positive case of a parent many weeks ago, even though that parent and the child hasn't come to school,
right,
way before their diagnosis, we felt the risk was very low. But here we went about the motion of kicking in our emergency response to contact and telling people, and then we give our staff, even though they're second degree plus a time lapse. That's very important. But we give them that health check as a peace of mind, so that they are not like worried. We have pregnant staff, we have staff who go back to elderly parents, and the fear run wild, even though you tell them factually it's like that. And then the fear run wild.
And just want to give them peace of mind, right, Daisy?
Right. We went for testing, and then they know that right away. We could give information to our parents right away, and people appreciate this, because I know that we try very hard to protect the privacy of the family, but we also want to make sure we bring peace of mind to everybody else who's worried along with us. So the ability to calculate very quickly and give people the right information, that it doesn't infringe on privacy, so that people know what to do with their own life and their responsibility they have towards other people that they are meeting, is a very, very key part. So I think right now it's about, when we do spot the case, what information do we need, to who do we give it to, so that what actions do we take that we are responsible for other people.
Don't be too quick to, don't have that knee-jerk reaction. Like, you really have to think it through. I like that. Chuling, I'm going to touch on what you said earlier on about how explaining to a child on the virus, because they don't see it. In fact,
Yeah.
my daughter who's 13, who I think will be able to comprehend, I just had to do the really mean thing about telling her, no, you can't do a sleepover this weekend because your father's very concerned. And she said, but it's only cases in Sabah and Kedah. And Daisy, or was it doctor, who was saying about how we really don't know where it's just spreading because they're just everywhere, right? People are not that responsible, unfortunately. So having said that, how do you then manage your children? We're going back to our kids now. How do you manage and telling them why they can't do certain things, why they can't go out, for instance? I've got another parent who's concerned about, who's on the other side of the spectrum, saying like, I kasihan my anak, now doesn't get the sun rays, now doesn't get vitamin D, and then we over sanitize, then their immune system, how are you going to boost their immune system? So you've got two spectrums of parents out there. Doctor, your thoughts on this?
Okay. I would say lembak, that's a word called, right? I used to be a very lembak parents. I think, it's okay, they can build their own immune system, but not, of course, not now, not under the circumstances. So
Right.
what I do, I've been telling my boys, how come you don't see the virus, is because I teach you one new word. It's called invisible. It is like the superpower in your cartoon, like PJ Masks. It's invisible, okay? And you just imagine it's got rays of like special power, and this is like rays of viruses. I try to animate it, in a way that I understand. So, of course, a bit of lies. Toy shop is closed. No toy shops are open.
White lies. They're called white lies, Chuling. They're white lies.
Yeah. And also we change a bit of routine. We still go cycling, but not to the public park. We try to bring them to cycle around our area when there are not a lot of people, and we do a lot of DIY activities at home. Yeah, very silly DIY activities, because you can.
I see that look in your face, Chuling, like, oh my God.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Otherwise, they would take your phone and then, Mommy, I go to Lazada. There are new toys there. I'm like, I can't spoil them like that. And so you have to do a lot of activities, be very creative, and we try as much as we can. So far, it has been okay. But yesterday, after school, then one boy said, Mommy, I want to go to your office. Because they used to come to my office and then play photocopying machine, printer and all that, right?
Best office boleh main macam tu, okay?
Yeah, it's actually quite nearby. It's just 5 minutes. But the cases, the numbers are rising. So what I told them is, maybe we can come to Mommy's office on Saturday or Sundays.
When there's less of a crowd.
Less people, less,
Makes
people
sense.
were walking in and out. So, not that I'm not letting you to come to my office, but we come in a different time. Yeah.
Okay.
So we try to readjust, our routine. So far it has been okay. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Doctor, do you agree with this approach?
I love how creative trailing is. Really, really creative. Yeah. You others got to be so creative, right? You got to think everything, how I'm going to do it. And I really totally agree. Bringing them, kids have they're a ball of energy. If you don't use it, they're going to explode in your face, right? And then if they explode, you also explode, then the whole house explodes, then World War III. Yeah, right? So I feel, we knowing that, and it's not their fault. If they get frustrated at home because they haven't been out in the past 24 hours, it is really not their fault. And knowing that, then it gives a bit of graciousness in us as mothers to not kill them. But
They haven't exempt mothers from that yet, so better hold on to yourself. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, then I think the question is like Chuling's been asking herself, how do I use that energy? And rightfully so, we obviously, compared to bringing them to out to crowded places, that's not a very great idea right now. But if you have just an open space, if you're just outside your house, and then just bring them for a walk, ask them just to run 50 meters down and 50 meters up 10 times. That will use some energy. I have, in front of my house, there is a playground, right?
Right.
And my kid loves the playground. And so I will always just look out, if on weekdays, not so many kids are at certain odd hours, and
do you have to sanitize the whole park? Okay, like for
How
instance,
to
the swing.
sanitize the home?
I know lah. I mean, like, you know,
Actually, I
they go on the
always go
swing.
around and sanitize the areas around me. I am
I'm
very, very
curious
considerate
because I
person.
do that
I
too,
spray
Daisy.
the
But at the same
buttons
time, my husband's
outside
like,
and
"Why are you doing
everything.
that?" You know?
My
Do we have to
husband
do that, doctor?
Paving the path for the next person.
Good lah. Community doer lah, this Daisy.
Yeah,
you know
that's
what?
But
why I
doctor,
take
Ken,
myself
does
out.
it work that way? Do we have to spray down the slide or the swing?
I,
How?
I do not know
My child uses it.
Yeah, I mean, if it gives you the peace of mind, I mean, then you instead of sanitizing everything, you sanitize your child's hand. But then again, there are some children who have very sensitive skin, so you can't keep sanitizing their hands either. So I think it's managing your risk. What
Okay.
is the
Managing
the
your
level
risk.
of risk that you're willing to take? So for me, the risk of him contacting something in the hot sun, is less than me exploding at home. So, so I do allow him to go out. Then he's got his bicycle. Then just go out to the front line. Nobody there. Just go up and down many times, as many as you want, and then come back home. Or rainy days really cannot go anywhere. Try to do something as creative as trailing. Because at the end of the day, your question, definitely on how to boost their immune system, having activity, physical activity itself in the open boosts their immune system.
There you
And
go.
so
And
we cannot
vitamin D.
deprive, yeah, exactly. So we cannot deprive them completely from it, So yeah.
All right. I hope
Actually,
that
just to
answers. Yeah. Yeah, Daisy. go.
sorry, just to jump on that a little bit, because it's also to answer one of the questions that Lily has about how to manage this and practice social distancing. The thing is that, right, we talk about having the controlled exposure in an environment that we're very sure about who's inside and what kind of exposure it is, versus going outside to the playground. We don't know who was the last person, when it was last clean, etc. Those kind of environment, we are less sure of. Now, worse is if there's a lot of people very crowded over there,
Yeah.
or is it an indoor area where the sun isn't beating down on it to kill the viruses in this kind of uncontrolled environment. So that's why I think that when we want to manage our own sanity, so let's talk about managing COVID now. So managing the sanity and managing the energy level of the child, you need to recognize that your child is not what the Iki call it, an Autobot, like a machine that's just there. You charge it, you don't charge it, and then it go out of battery. The child is organic and it runs, and the energy level, the less you use it, the more it goes haywire. So you need to release this energy, like your stress level, on a regular basis in a healthy way. So choose to do it in a very choose a safe mechanism. Don't wait until you're very close to explosion, then you're going to do something. And go to places that you just completely did not plan, unfamiliar, you don't know what is it and where is it. So it's the same theory, like you eating healthy, and then that day when I have the cheat day, I will eat the 7 meals I have not been eating in that cheat day. Doesn't work, you still put on weight.
Yeah.
So the same thing is that if you want to manage the risk, and then you also want to make sure your child is still developing, then choose to do so in a very healthy doses in where you can control and manage. Now, in the school environment, the guidelines from the ministry are very clear and very simple, because we understand that children are a special kind of creatures sent to earth to test mother sanity. So they will not listen to you about keeping masks on all the time, and they will not stop touching their friends, etc. That's why ministry already say, do split sessions, do subgrouping, minimize the grouping so that the exposure of your child inside that group is smaller. So when children are able to interact, you know that they are in an environment whereby the exposure is less, and also of course you are cleaning and sanitizing all the time. So these are the ways to manage the risk of your children.
All right. So we've got about 12 minutes or so. I don't know if you guys have any other engagements after this, but we'll try and stick to timing. Thank you so much, ladies. Let's move on to some of the FAQs that we've been receiving. We're going to go through some of the common situations, and let's see if I can just point it out to each respective panelist. We've got one here. I'm pregnant. I don't want to wear a face mask because it may affect the development of my baby due to the lack of oxygen. Doctor.
Can I just assure you, you wear mask, you will have enough oxygen, your baby will have enough oxygen, your baby will develop as normally as any other babies. So please wear your mask when you go out.
Better be safe then, sorry. Okay, next question. Is it a good idea to organize a birthday party for my child, Chuling?
Not now, okay. I did because their birthday is September. So September back then, the number was okay. So I did a small one. Usually the parents are crazy because we're actually throwing parties for ourselves.
I know,
Using
right?
the kids as excuse, right?
With the
Yeah,
gift bags
but
and
yeah.
everything.
Yeah,
Gila.
last month when the number was okay, we did a smaller, much smaller, from 100 packs to probably 15 packs. And then the most important thing is you do keep track on your friends. Usually, to be very honest, not only the friends that you want to invite, even when you go out with the other friends, I would tend to go to their social media to see, oh, this person, oh, you, wow, from
She
morning
went to
to
Sabah to go for election.
here and
Daphne Aiking.
there. Yeah, to be very honest, I actually texted them. I'm so sorry I didn't like send my invitation because you have been out all the time.
At least you're being honest, ma.
Yeah, yeah,
I like
yeah.
honesty.
Yeah, I need to protect the
That's the
children,
courage.
right? So, yeah, I do a background check and then I keep track on the activities of some
Right.
friends. Then you revise your list, yeah, your invitation list. So it's better. But if now with the current number, sorry, okay, I would not suggest. And if
Okay.
their birthday falls in October, no way, no way. Yeah.
Okay, so that's your stance. All right, this is going to be the biggest question because it's been flooding my WhatsApp group. Daisy, I think you're the best person to reply this. Is it safe for my child to go to school during the second wave?
Guys, I'm going to put on the mother's hat because if I put on the school hat, you need to know that all my parents can vouch for us that we go above and beyond to keep our premise really clean. And I'm that blatant, a very blunt a person. If you're not wearing a mask in premise, I'll ask you to. We will tell you only one adult in at a time. We are very strict on things like that. So our environment is very clean. So my parents have my trust on that. Now on the mother's hat, because I have 3 kids, right? It all boils down to trust whether your schools are doing the right thing. Then if your schools are not doing the right thing, then the first step is to communicate to them and remind them so, because I think the ministry have given really clear guidelines on how schools can operate in a safe environment. Now, it's harder for schools that are possibly like big and have many children to do that. But sometimes, right, the harder it is to do something, the more you have to do it, because you can't say that because it's hard to do it and so leceh to do it that you don't want to do it. Because then when something happens, like I think many parents have been sending me information about how they have one suspect case in their school and then the whole school have to shut for 14 days because they have no idea, and it's such disruptive to families and so much, and that's not even talking about the emotional stress that you have. So then how does an organization get into a place whereby you don't know who went where and the exposure, how much it permeates, because there were guidelines for you to adhere to in the first place. So do parents send the kids to school or not? Then when the numbers get so high, it's not as clear cut as like what we had when there was haze. Hey, the number is high today. Tomorrow school closed, because the haze will be too much for all the children. But the numbers is lag. So it cannot really tell for sure whether what the number will be tomorrow. And also with the numbers, where are these people going to? These are just numbers reporting where these people are staying and residing. The numbers do not really tell us that much more. So that's why, on a basis, when do school close, when the numbers are really high or when the schools felt like it's already out of control, like the ministry felt that it's out of control, then when that situation happens, really the whole economy has to close. Because what's the point of closing the school and then parents do not have a mean to do so, to care for the kids, because then parents should stop as well. So I think that it has to go concurrently so that us parents have a peace of mind. But before we get to MCO stage again, because I think some of the parents that I speak to, they seem to be waiting. So many cases. Let's just wait for MCO to happen. MCO come, boom, virus gone again. And that doesn't happen, because MCO means economy gets disrupted and people are scared. I mean, some of the questions that we're getting in are regarding financial questions from the family that is so disruptive. So what we want to do is that now, whether we should go to school, when schools are open and they are not in the zone whereby the ministry has enough information and facts to monitor the situation and think that they are still safe enough to operate, then they are open, then you can consider whether what you observe in the environment is safe enough for you. Now remember,
Okay.
your children are not inanimate, so they still need to spend their energy. So they should have a healthy channel to spend their energy. So the healthy channel can be in your home if you have a way to provide them that channel. Now, for us, like we have a digital school right from the get-go. So have always prepared a digital school, and we have never switched off that digital school. So we tell our families, because this is something that I anticipate, such as, many of our families are still on split workforce, work from home,
Yep.
or very flexible kind of arrangement for the rest of the year. So then I don't want to put them in a position to have to choose one or another.
So you're
we
giving them the option of
Yes.
both online and offline. I mean, to
Yes,
school.
so you
Okay.
can be at home for your enrichment class in the afternoon, for the tuition class in the afternoon. It's very flexible.
Yep.
So then this is a good way when the child is unwell. Don't feel pressure to go to school because your child can still join in the digital version. So I urge the organization and schools to activate only, just activate the digital school again, so that parents know that they have the option to manage internally their family risk and exposure, and then still let the kids be able to participate. And then this fluid arrangement may be what we need for the rest of the year or two, and then while we write out whenever there's spike and then of like COVID cases.
And I think we have to face the fact that we are going through a digital transformation faster than we expected, and it just has to be there. And I think it's a wake-up call to the relevant authorities that the rural areas really need to have access to internet, and it's so vital, especially in this day and age. Now, you mentioned the fact that, we have to keep our kids or their energy entertained or simulated. If it's not in school, then at home. Here on record, I just want to say thank you to all the teachers, people like Daisy, all the educators for doing what they do with our children, because I love my children. I really love my children. But during the MCO, being a teacher, I cannot. I love them, but I cannot. So, Chuiling, I'm going to put it back on you, because you gave some ideas there. How do you keep your children stimulated now that they have to spend more time at home in the event that there is going to be a further CMCO or worse MCO, which I hope doesn't happen? Chuiling.
Okay. I tend to make everything into activities. For example, when we wake up, hey, let's do our timetable. So by doing the timetable, it's about an hour. Okay, 7:40. Okay, breakfast. I asked them to do it with me. So they took part in designing their timetable. So that's already 1 hour. And
Like, yes, 1 hour done. Ding.
yeah, and I have a huge balcony. I don't have a swimming pool at home, but I have a huge balcony. So I went to those sites in China. I ordered a huge inflatable pool. That's another probably one and a half hour per day. Okay, so DIY activities, art and craft, another 2 hours. And then I make them prepare food with me, another 1 hour. And then, we make house chores like a competition. See Coco faster or Didi faster, probably another hour. And it's pretty much about it. But the most challenging part is the e-learning. E-learning, sometimes you forget to unmute yourself. Press and sit down. Oh, that one, okay, I'm still struggling. So I hope there won't be any lockdown, because
I feel you, girl. I feel
no
you.
matter how well you plan, that part is like sit down, play a game. I'm sorry, mute. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay, I've got a few more questions here. Some have already been answered by Doctor, but this one, if we have a school nurse in all schools, will it help to prevent COVID-19 transmissions in school, Daisy?
Oh, okay, that's for me, is it? Okay. Now, having the school nurse, when you ask that question, is as if you are waiting for the school nurse to be observing everybody and then catching out the one with the COVID virus. But it doesn't have a red flag on you, like your hair don't turn pink and it's easy for the nurse to catch kind of thing. So there's no point in having the nurse, because it's again back to the fact that what we do is that we do temperature check and body check every hourly in the school. There's someone who is appointed to do that. But when there's anything that is remotely flagging our suspicion, knowing, doing the COVID checklist, or just any other like unwell checklist, then the first thing to do is to segregate, inform parents right away, and ask the child to seek professional medical attention. Now, a
Okay.
school nurse, I'm not saying that it's not good to have a school nurse. It's good to have someone who is CPR, first aid trained, and have medical knowledge. We have nurses in school, our staff are ex-nurses, etc. But that is not safe all. It doesn't make your environment safer. Now, if in case of a fire, having an extinguisher there makes the place safer against fire. But having a school nurse in the school doesn't guard against COVID. Sanitize the place. I think many big schools with very high volume, because they don't maybe like necessarily sanitize the place as often as the high volume requires. So then it's just a necessary cost of doing business that we need to add in to make sure that environment is safe for us to operate. So nurse is convenient. I think it's good to have, but there are other things that are priority, very, very key to have that we must add in.
So it's more of a luxury. It's like to have a nurse
It's nice
there,
to
but
have.
it's
I mean,
not. It's nice
there
to
are
have,
many
but
things like
it's
I think we have older kids, right? Then
Yep.
when they have a temperature, they go to see the nurse. They fall down. There's someone to go there and give them a plaster to do little things like that to make them feel a little bit better. Oh, mommy, I went to the school nurse today. My eldest daughter loved to go to the nurse to get a plaster. And she's like, Mommy, do you know today I went for drone class and nearly chopped off my finger because when I was changing battery.
Chopped off, huh?
The nurses are like fantastic because it's just someone to provide a little bit of medical care that is outside
that
the duties that you
assurance.
do.
I mean, they're all, after all, they're still children. They still want that comfort, lah, kan? And I guess the nurse is there to comfort them. So it's just it's just a additional peace of mind, lah, comfort level, but it's not
Yes.
top of the list, lah. All right. Unfortunately, ladies, it looks like we are running out of time. So as we draw to a close of this panel session, I think we have a little giveaway. So Daisy, perhaps you can share with us what this giveaway is.
I'm actually not really sure. Definitely, do you? Is that a surprise giveaway that you want to?
Oh, tak ada. I think it's something about a guidebook where moms and members in the audience can
I
download.
get it
There you
now.
go.
I did
Ah,
write
okay.
that in my sleep. It was my evil twin. Okay, so guys, I love writing and I love sharing. I think many of my parents actually agree with this. So what I have done is that I've written a few of the guidelines consolidating best practices and very specifically for parents with children to protect against COVID-19. So and our ebook is free and give away for everybody who care to go on and download it. So the link to download it will be on our website, and we'll be sharing it on our page shortly. So do download that and help us share that. So it's what we want to do with this session is that to help everyone understand and try to get a grip of what's really happening around us, so that we are better equipped to help each other out. It takes all of us to combat and overcome COVID, and we have to get together and do this together. We can't wait for another lockdown to happen to protect our children. That's not really going to happen.
Well summarized. Thank you so much, Daisy. Now, I hope that this session has given you, our audience, some affirmations in your efforts in keeping your children safe and sound with the topics that we've covered today. Again, let's get the basic right. Wash your hands, wear your mask, keep to your social distancing. Just to summarize what our panelists have to say, basically, doctor is saying manage your risk. Do not panic. Okay, do not panic. If you know of anyone close proximity that has been diagnosed for COVID-19, you don't have to tell the whole world as yet. Just go to your close family and friends. Daisy saying over and over again, be a community doer. I think it's the responsibility of the parent to do what they can do best for their child, but at the same time, manage the expectation. You don't have to go into all craziness and stuff like that, or demanding that the school closes and goes online straight away, because not every household has the resources like some more privileged families may have, like having a helper or having a bigger place to play with. Some have a smaller household where they may or may not necessarily like each other in the family members, and that is another mental health issue altogether. And last but not least, we've got my friend Chu Ling, who's saying at the end of the day, it all goes down to middle ground in being moderate, in being playing things in moderation. It's like, birthday parties can be done. It can be done. Have a Zoom party instead. Keep it small. Make it be amongst family members, or do away without it until things are a little bit more, calm down and everything. And I think our children will be able to understand it. I think I need to talk to my daughter later lah. Kesian dia. Anyway, a big thank you to all our panelists as well as the team at Trinity Kids Malaysia for organising this session as part of the Plan the Next Gen series. Please do share this post with a friend or family members, especially if you have or caring for young ones in the family. And guys, on behalf of the panelists, I'd like to say have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you once again. Take care. Goodbye. Stay safe. Kita jaga kita. Rakyat jaga rakyat. Be good, everyone. Daisy, anything last you want to end, since this is your platform?
Stay safe, everyone. Stay healthy. And if you have any more questions, any feedbacks, any improvement tips, please send it to me. You know where to reach me at trinitykidsmalaysia.com or daisyeng.com. So you can always reach me anytime. I value your feedback and your inputs, because your feedback is what we need to make the world a safer place and better place for our children.
Love. All right, ladies. Bye, everyone. Take care. I had a great session. Thank you so much. We are signing out. Daphne Iking saying goodbye. Bye, peoples. Woohoo!
Hi. You're off stream now.
Oh, okay. I'm like, how do I go? Because Joe left to go pick up the kids. I'm like, how do I end? All right. So, Kautima. Wow. Thank you, ladies.
Very good. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
The flow was very nice.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was such a pleasure to meet all of you.
The babies, man.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye, peeps.
I would like to send you a little something. So I think that later we'll find your office address or somewhere we can grab or Lala over. Just a small token for you.
Who? Me? Who?
Some like sanitizer thing and stuff like that. No?
Oh, all right.
Just something small. Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Nice to
Bye,
meet you,
peeps.
ladies.
Thank you. You guys were awesome.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, how to end? Oh, here.
Hi, Daphne.
Hey, hi.
Okay.
Are you still here? No more already. Bye-bye. No more. Okay, bye. Oops. Okay. Okay, now how do I end this? Oh, shoot. Alamak, Papang, macam mana nak tutup ni? I tak tahu macam mana nak tutup benda ni.